everyone. Welcome to EdTalk, world's talk show presented by Clickaway Creators. We are back, and this time with education leaders. Today, we have Dr. Maria with us. Dr. Maria is the head of the Department of Special and Gifted Education, College of Education, United Arab Emirates University. Her research interests are on autism and assessment and diagnosis for children with emotional, behavioral, and developmental disorders and intervention strategies for professionals and families. She is also an author and a wonderful personality to talk to get insights. So without further ado, let me introduce you to the lady herself. Hello, Dr. Maria. Welcome to the show. And how are you doing today, ma'am?
Hello, thank you very much. Thank you for this lovely invitation. I'm really happy to talk with you today. I'm here. Just ask me whatever you want.
Sure, and pleasure is all ours to have you. All right, so I would like to set up the context for all of our audience. As I said, that you're the head of Department of Special and Gifted Education. So if you can just help our viewers and me to understand what is special and gifted education.
Okay, so yes, I think that we need to clarify from the beginning what is the special education and for who is about this special education. So when we are talking special education, we are talking about every kind of education that is linked to the individual needs of learners. So I used to say, and I'm really keen to say to my students, that every teacher needs to be a special educator because we are focusing on the specific individual needs of our students, of our learners. So we are talking about an education that is individualized. We are talking about differentiating instruction. We are talking about the real class situation, which is not the same level. We are talking about how to differentiate your methods, how you differentiate your instruction, your teaching, your assessment, your exams, your tools, everything, your material based on what you have in your classroom. And in your classroom, you will have the slow learners, you will have the children with autism and high gifted, you will have the gifted and talented students that are not talking too much, but are really very good in different subjects and areas. You will have also the children that they have hyperactivity and they cannot stay still. You will have the children that they cannot focus on your class and they have attention span, but they're really very bright, they're really very clever. And you have, as an educator, to find ways, first to assess, secondly to support, and thirdly, to make sure that these children are not only included in the classroom, but also you are supporting them the best support, the best education based on their own individual needs, and they can thrive. Okay, they will be at the best of themselves. So this is the special education. The last year, we changed the name of the department, and that was approved by the university. So from special education department, now it is special and gifted education department, because there is a huge need to address also education and to take into consideration that there are so many children out there that they are not identified as gifted and talented in different subjects and different domains. So we need to address also this. So it is special and gifted education department, and we prepare professionals, teachers, psychologists, special educators to go to schools to work with all these different levels of learning.
So I believe we are looking at students with different calibers and trying to elevate them in their own skills. That's what we are looking at in this.
The students that they have different levels and different needs are out there. Every classroom has 30 to 40 different personalities. So our mission as the Department of Special Education is to prepare our professionals, our teachers, our professionals in special education to go out there, work with these students and make sure that they can help them, they can support them in every sense.
That's good to know, Dr. Maria. Seeing your enthusiasm about education, my next question definitely should be what really inspired you to pursue a career in education? How did you get started in this field?
Thank you for this question. Actually, I'm coming from a different subject field. So my background is not a teacher. My background is in sports sciences and rehabilitation. I started with this bachelor, but during my studies, I find out that I want to combine these with special education. So my first master was in physical activity for exceptional children. So how I can help, so we can help use physical activity and exercise to help to support children with different kinds of disabilities and mental health issues. And my second master was in Brussels. I had a scholarship. I'm originally Greek, so I started my bachelor and my first master in Aristotle University in Greece, in Thessaloniki. Then I moved to Brussels with a scholarship in Belgium. I finished an abroad master in psychomotor therapy for children. And then I was privileged, I was honored to work with the best team in psychomotricity globally. So I was in a university which is 35, ranked 55 all over the world in research. So a very prestigious research university, TU Leuven University, very well known for a very high quality research. I was there with a scholarship and I was working with the best team of psychiatrists and psychologists, child psychologists, working with children with severe cases of children with autism, ADHD, and eating disorders. So anorexia, girls with anorexia, girls with bulimia, but cases that were really severe and hospitalized at the University Hospital of Kortenberg, next to Brussels. So I started, that was my inspiration. Then I say, this is the thing I want to do. So I focused all my studies, all my research on this topic. And now I'm working the last 20 years on assessment and diagnosis process for children with different types of disabilities, mainly mental health issues and autism, ADHD, and emotional and development disorders. So that was my initial inspiration. But you know, when you start working and digging and researching and publishing and writing and talking, you have so many different kinds of inspiration on the way, in the journey.
I mean, that's very rightly said. Now, you have a vast experience with you, so let's just try to get a few more things out of you. What do you think? And I would like to go on a global scale when I ask this question. What do you think are the biggest challenges faced by the education industry today, and how can we address all of them?
Okay, it's a very, very not difficult, but it's so broad. The question is really very vital. It's really very important, but you cannot say this is the biggest challenge. There are so many challenges today. So one of the biggest challenges, if you ask me, is like because we are preparing professionals to go out there to work with children, to work in schools, and we are taking them their feedback. Some of them, they are happy, they feel well qualified and really very confident to work with children, but there are so many, they say, oh my God, it's completely different how we are in the protective environment in the university, how we read it from the book, but the real setting, the real thing is completely different. So one of the biggest challenges, I believe, is that the difference between what we are reading in the books, what we have in mind, and what is the real case out there. So we need a lot of our students, and I think all professionals, because I'm speaking and I'm teaching in online programs from different countries. So I am in touch with many professionals in the field from different countries, from Europe, from Middle East, from America, from Asia. So one of the biggest challenges they are facing is that they have no experience of what they are going to face. So, and even if there are experience, they are missing the theoretical background. So there is so fast, the information is so fast, the technological increase and everything is so fast, the rapid changes also in the education. So they cannot keep up with all these new things, and they need to keep up. They need to always improve their knowledge. They need always to make sure that they have the experience needed to support. And we tell them that, you know, it's not a 4-year degree or a master or a PhD. You have to be lifelong learners. This is it. And this is also for us. I have never stopped reading. I have never stopped writing. I have never stopped trying to understand and learn new things. The last 2 years, I am the head also of the SMART committee for digital transformation of an online learning. You know, it's a very challenging thing, and I think that it's a very challenging task for all professionals out there, because the technology can give us so many things, but we need to make sure that we know how to use it. We know how to use it to take the advantage of the technology, but not to leave it like
my follow-up question was regarding technology itself. And as you said that there are a lot of challenges that, so it's a very wide question. If I just narrow it down to, let's say, skills, we see a lot of startups and organizations coming in which are precisely focusing on skills along with education at the same time. So what do you think, can't that be just incorporated in the traditional education ecosystem within the universities and schools? I mean, that is possible, but why are we looking at the success of such startups at such a scale, but schools and universities are not adopting it on that bigger scale? What's the gap?
There is a huge gap. Okay, you said traditional education, there is no such a thing. Not anymore, at least after COVID. We used to say before and after COVID period. So there is not such a thing like traditional education and school. The teacher that it was in front of the blackboard and say things and the students were listening is over. And if you ask me, for good. So we are transforming the education in a different, completely different way. And However, this is the big challenge. We need to think that education is really very connected with interpersonal skills. So communication, okay, direct communication, relations with the family, relations with the student, interpersonal relations. So the technology can help, but cannot replace this interaction between the teacher and the student and the teacher and the school and the family, because this is really very important to have a good collaboration with the family. This is one of the key important elements that the future professionals need to have in mind. So education in the future, it's changing, okay, and technology can change the education as we know it, and we need to manipulate it for our advantage, okay. So there are so many challenges in this. I have recently published in a very high index journal with my team of international scholars a research on the obstacles and the psychological stress that the families had during COVID, when they have to be next to their children, they have to work and learn, and they have to support their children, especially children with determination. This is a term we are using in the good countries. So children with some kind of special educational needs. Could be children with dyslexia, could be children with attention, could be children with autism. So it was so difficult for these parents to be part of this learning process through technology. So, but it was not only for the family, it was also for the educational. It was also for the teachers. It was all of us, we have to very, very, very fast transform to another way of teaching. We have to learn how to use the technology. We have to learn how to adapt our material, to change our skills. And we have to learn really good and very, very fast. We did it in 2 years. I think we made huge improvement in how to use technology, and I think education is not going to be the same anymore in the future. But this is good. It's not bad. It's not bad. We learn how to use Zoom, how to do meetings, how to replace our meetings on the office in a screen, and so many other things that it was make us our life better and not so stressful. But on the other hand, we need to know how to use technology. Can help, especially in special education. We have a big area of we call it assistive technology. So there are so many devices that can help. Let's say children that they have hearing issues, and not only children, also adults that they cannot hear very well. Children that they have sensory issues, they cannot see very well. So there are some specific adaptation in the screen so they can read. I had once met one faculty, so professor lady from the university, who was not completely, but almost blind. And I say, how you can read from the screen, how you can mark your students' assignments, and say, look, the assistive technology can help. So it was a specific device, there was a specific way to see, and she could even read, even mark assignment from students. So this is something we never thought about it a few years ago. So yes, technology can help, and education can change completely in the future, but we need to know how to take advantage of the technology in a good way.
That makes a lot of sense. I mean, that's a beautiful answer to a very lamely put beautiful question from me. But yeah, thank you very much. When we talk about a teacher, you see, there are from a country like India, where education is there, but when there's a 70% population living below poverty line, and we are encouraging our students or our new generation to learn more and more, and they are learning it from different ways. School is the very first, but family becomes the first, even before the school. What do you think is the most important skill or quality for an educator to possess? And first, we'll talk about what are the skills, and then we can talk about how that can be developed. If, let's say, my parents don't have it, or if I don't have it as a parent, can I also become a good educator so that I can just pass that legacy to student and to maybe a school or a university, and then it becomes easy for them also to handle my kid. So yeah, over to you.
Okay, so unfortunately, there are so many things that a good educator has to take into consideration, but also many skills that he or she has to develop in order to feel confident. First, the same himself or herself, to feel confident that I'm okay, I'm in the right professional, I'm going to do my duty, I'm being okay. So first of all, to keep up with all these rapid explosion of knowledge. So trying to not stop learning, be a lifelong learner. This is really, I said it again, but this is really very important. If you say, that's it, I have experience, I did my bachelor, I did my master, I know everything, you don't know nothing, trust me. Every single day, there are so many research that changing the things we thought about, let's say, about children with autism, about children with dyslexia, about how to assess, what kind of skills you can develop, what kind of things you have to teach them, how you have to teach them, okay? So first of all, they have to keep up with the knowledge. Secondly, and very, very important, they have to communicate with their students. They don't have to close their ears and say, okay, I know, so I will tell them the story, but this is not the story. They have to hear back. So they have to feel, they have to hear, and they have to understand the needs, because the needs are changing very fast in the schools today. So it was not the same needs that the students had 10 years ago. So they have different kinds of needs. And when I say needs, it's not only the learning, it's also the emotional, the psychological, okay? So good communication skills and very good collaboration. In my university, in my department, we have for the undergraduate level a course called collaboration in special education, because we are really focusing on how to collaborate teachers and professionals between them, but also with the family, with the Ministry of Education, with other schools, and also in the postgraduate level. So for master and PhD students, we have advanced topics on collaboration, which means that we focus a lot on collaboration. We want our graduates, we want our professionals to go out and to know how to collaborate, to use the right terminology in order to communicate in a meeting. To use the right body language if you need, because in some culture it's really very important to use the right body language when you are talking to the family, and especially when you are talking to a family who has a child with a disability, and you have to inform them how to work with it. So there are so many skills that we need to help them develop, and if they don't have them, they are going out to work and they feel that, oh my God, I can't work. It's so difficult for me because they don't have the knowledge. Okay. So creativity, innovating ideas, and especially emotional skills and empathy. This is really very important. I used to say to my students, the future teachers and professionals, I say, even if you are the best teacher in terms of good knowledge, in terms of reading, of doing research, let's say you're the best professional. If your students are not happy for any reason in the classroom, and they are stressed and they have anxiety for different things, and they are not feeling welcome in your class, they will not learn. That's it, you fail. Even if you are a very, very high educated person. So you need to think all these skills that you have to develop as a professional, and you have to make sure that you have these qualities before going to schools, or even going to school and take the feedback from colleagues, from principals, and try different things to see what makes your students really happy. Are you, and we are assessing ourselves every day. I'm doing that to myself. It's like reflection circle. So I'm reflecting on what I say to my students, and I'm asking for their feedback, which is really, sometimes we say, oh, it was perfect. It was a lovely session. Everyone was really happy. My student was smiling. And then if you ask them one by one, they say, I didn't understand. it was very complicated for me, or I don't know how I can apply this. It was good, the things you said, but I don't know how I can apply this in the real setting, or how I can take advantage of this research. You just talked to us for 2 hours about the research, but no one knows how is the practical implication of this research. So let's reflect. That's that very, very important message I'm giving to my students first and to myself. Reflect on what we are doing, how we are going to improve ourselves, because this is a process, improving, trying to improving here. Take consideration of the needs of your students here and try to understand and see what the society needs, the families, the students. Okay, and if you
So
are,
to be a,
yeah,
you have to do a lot of things to be a good educator. I mean, there is a consulting role, there's a friend role, there's a parenting role, there are a lot of roles that one has to play, not just with parents, not just with the students, but with the parents in a lot of cases, as you mentioned. And geographies also play a great role in this. And as you said, one should be very passionate, as you are. We all can sense that, and one should be very much into value creation when it comes to education. And as I'm not sure who said this, but if you want to revolutionize a whole nation, just create good educators, and they will create a robust education that will give you the boost that our organization requires. So this is a great perspective to be in. We have had a lot of we use the keyword future a lot in this conversation, and I use vision a lot. So let's just combine all of them. If I may ask you, what is your vision for the future of education, and also about the department that you are into? I mean, the future perspective basically of the vision.
Thank you. Thank you for this question. We are currently at a stage that we are, hopefully we have received a big fund, external fund. So we are going to develop a big research center, innovation center for exceptional children. That was one of my dreams when I came to this university, because this university is really, and the country is really very focusing on research. So one big dream I had, it was, and I share it with His Excellency, the advisor of the university, and the provost, and they say, okay, Maria, give us a proposal and we will see if we can go forward. So yes, I sat with the a group of academics, international academics, and we designed an innovation center for children. So these children will help the community, so families who want an extra assessment for their children who are helpless, and not only on academic assessment, but also in psychological issues, because many of the families, they are facing so many issues with behaviors, so many issues with depression, so many issues that they are helpless, they are alone, they don't know how to deal with children with disability. So our intention is to have a big research center which have not only assessment and diagnosis, but also intervention and also psychological support for the children and for the families. And this is really very close to be a reality. So I'm really happy for this. If you ask me in general, what is my dream for the education and for the school of the future, is a school, I don't know, this could be not real, but this is the thing I dream, a school that it's for everyone, who everyone needs, that it's included, accepted, and I'm not talking only about students, but also about teachers. Not all teachers and professionals feel good in their schools. So I am dreaming of a school that everyone is happy, is welcome, is accepted, included, and can thrive. So that's my message. And one of my last book, it was like, bring my style back in education. So working with unhappy children in education, for different kinds of children, children with or without disabilities, children coming from poor families, children coming from diverse backgrounds, children that they are neglected or abused, or are coming from multicultural background and they don't understand what's happening in the school. All these children, for their own reason, can be unhappy. So our duty as future education is to focus on that. There is nothing more important than a child's happiness, not the grade, not the academic performance. Thank you.
Well,
I don't know if I answered your question, but this is, yeah.
I mean, no one can agree more on this, Maria. And I can, if I want to, I also wanted to have few more tips from you. First of all, kudos to you for your vision. I mean, I guess that's what we can expect from someone who's having so much passion, not just for the industry, education industry, but for the value addition cause of it. And I can sense it right now. I am sure once the session is live, the comment box will be full of the same thought that I have for you. The last question or a few points that the nuggets that I wanted my audience to take was how, I mean, when we talk about educators or education, we just focus on the teachers, the professors, the head of departments like yourself. Are there some skills that can be taught or can get basically started from the household for the students to nurture them and to build the right building blocks for someone so that they just go on and make it better and better in their journey?
Yeah, this is a very, very important point. We are talking about the students when they are at school, but we are not talking about the students when there are children, because the family is the first and the most important school. Okay, so that's why we need the collaboration with the family. That's why we need to have very strong connection with the family to inform them. We are not going to blame anyone, and that's the thing in the mind of some families. It's like, oh my God, the teacher is asking me to call to school, or the principal is asking me. No, the intention is to collaborate with them, because the work we are doing with the children, the work that the professionals are doing with the children is like 3-4 hours per day. But the majority of the attitudes, of the behavior, of the work is coming from the house. And, you know, the children, especially the young ones, they're really very good in mimic. They can duplicate your behavior, the way you are talking, the way you are driving, the way you are talking with your colleagues and with your partner, with your husband, the way you are behaving as a parent to the other children. So they all have it in their mind, and they create, they behave in a similar patterns. So we have to be really very careful. I'm not saying that we have all the time to read psychology and articles and say, because I know it's very, very complicated to be a parent. It's maybe the most difficult thing to do in your life is to be a good parent. But make sure that the teachers are next to the family. So try to collaborate with the family and try to give your children a very positive attitude about school and professionals. Tell them that and make them to be sure that these people there are there for their own good. They're going to help, they're going to support, okay, and they have to work all together. That's a key point.
That was really beautiful. That was the exact showstopper that I was looking for, Dr. Maria. It was a lovely session. I have taken a lot of nuggets, and I'm sure my audience will definitely do the same. We are as a whole organization, we are all towards value creation and making a good platform for all the good educators around the globe. So thank you very much for contributing to the very first session of EdTalk World Talk Show. We look forward to having a chat with you again in the future on some other trending topics in the international education industry. And for our viewers, if you like this chat, which I'm sure you did, I want you to like this video, fill the comment box with your questions if you have any, or just appreciate us for what we do. And you will keep on hearing from us and education leaders like Dr. Maria. This was Sagar for EdTalk World signing off. Thank you, Dr. Maria.
Thank you very much. The pleasure was all mine. Thank you, and definitely I will share that with the university, with my colleagues, and everyone with interest on the field. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you, man. Thank you for joining us. It was a lovely one. Thank you.